Hello everyone, I'm back with another Reddit Addicts episode. If you find my videos entertaining, please kindly subscribe and like them. Thanks to everyone for your suggestions and kind notes. Now, let's get started with today's exciting stories.
My husband has been cheating on me. I thought everything had been going great. We were really happy and I thought he loved me as much as I loved him. Sure, we had some ups and downs just like any couple, but we worked through our issues together. I met Tom in college when we both took a bio lab together. He would dissect the icky things for me and I would take the notes. We hit it off right away and before long we were inseparable. We were married less than a year after graduation. He was offered a good job in Texas, so we moved right after getting married. I got a job as a teacher at Texas A&M University and we were very happy. The weather took a little getting used to, but we both did not miss the cold and snowy New England winters. About 3 years ago I had a miscarriage and it was an extremely trying time. I fell into a deep depression and took a leave of absence from work. Tom also took some time off work to help me, but he was also dealing with his sadness. We fought a lot during this time and I cried so much my eyes were always red and the skin around them was dry and cracked. During this time Tom cheated on me with another woman. I was heartbroken when I found out. Not only did I lose my child, but I felt like I had lost my husband as well. This didn't help me. We ended up going to counseling because we both didn't want our marriage to be over. He was my best friend and I was his. Through counseling he was able to understand what I as a woman with all these hormonal changes went through when I lost our child that I was carrying. I learned that he, even though he didn't go through the same thing, was also devastated. He too lost the future with our child, but then he had to watch as the woman he loved most in the world slip into this deep depression that he could not help bring her out of. He could not seek solace from me, so he sought it elsewhere. He told me it wasn't that serious and that he didn't intend for it to go on for as long as it did. It lasted about 2 months. Anyway, the long and short of it is that we both experienced one of the worst tragedies a couple could go through and it took us a long time to get back to normal, or at least a new normal. That's why it hurt so bad when I discovered that he was cheating on me again. But this time the woman wasn't just some random person he picked up in a bar, but my best friend Jazz. He never stays late for work, but I didn't think anything of it when he mentioned he had to stay late last week. I told him I'd leave his dinner in the fridge. 2 days later he stayed late again, then it was a night out with the guys. I started to get suspicious, but thought I'd give him the benefit of the doubt. It had been years since he had cheated and it had been because of the enormous stress we had gone through. So the next day I decided I would take him lunch. I pulled up outside his office building and took the elevator up to his floor and weeded my way through some hallways and cubicles. When I entered the outer office I could see through the window into his office. He was sitting at his desk and my best friend Jazz was sitting next to him, but with her butt planted on his desk. I immediately turned and fled the building. My heart was beating fast and my face was flushed. I just sat there when I got into my car and tried to think. I don't know why Jazz would come see him at work. A few minutes later I saw them both leave the building and get into Tom's car. I didn't even think, but put the car in gear and followed them. They went to my favorite Italian restaurant and were seated near a window. I parked where they wouldn't notice me and watched through the window. I almost threw up when I saw them occasionally feed each other. I didn't know what to do other than go home. I had to think about this. That night Tom came home on time and acted normal. I was so upset, but decided to pretend I didn't find out. Tom did not say, "Hey, your friend Jazz came by my work today and we went out and had lunch." So I said, "I stopped by your work today to bring you lunch, but you weren't there." "I'm sorry, babe." Me and the guys went down to the pub for some of their delicious bacon burgers. Liar, fucking liar. I didn't want to be right. I couldn't do this again. I don't know how I got through the death of my child and my husband cheating, but I couldn't do it again. I knew what I had to do. After I got out of work the next day, I changed my clothes and went to his work to wait for him to get off. I parked by his car, and when he came out he was surprised to see me. I told him that I was just really happy to see him and wanted to go for a drive and maybe a walk. He said that was a great idea and that he was going to suggest that to me when he got home. So we took a drive and I headed towards one of the city's parks. He talked about his current clients and some of the crazy things they wanted. He asked how my teaching was going and I told him that it was going really well and it felt great to be doing it. We parked and walked down the trail that went through the woods. It was starting to get dark and Tom said, "We shouldn't spend too much time out here, we should get back soon." "What's the hurry?" I asked. "There's no rush," and I playfully ran from him. He ran to catch me, and when he caught me he spun me around holding me tight and looked into my eyes. That's when I did it. I stabbed him in the stomach and up under his ribs. His eyes wide, he stepped back and looked at the red blood spilling out of the wound. I pulled the knife out and stuck him again and again. He looked up at me in horror and then stumbled backward to the ground. I couldn't think at this point. I was so upset and I leaned over him and stabbed him again and again until I was sure he was dead. I had a hard time dragging his body into the bushes, but I managed, and in a daze I went back to the car where I hurriedly changed my clothes. It was twilight now and nobody saw me. I took the bloody clothes and the knife and stuffed them into a garbage bag which I threw into a dumpster miles away. Then I went home. The house was dark when I pulled up and I parked in the garage as usual. I entered the house and turned the lights on in the kitchen. The house smelled different, like Italian food. I walked into the living room and there was Jazz and my friends and family. Surprise! They yelled. The banner behind them said, "Happy birthday."
We hope you enjoyed this story. Thanks for watching and hope to see you in the next video. And before you go, please be sure to subscribe for more.